Hello, welcome back to Ycft. This week we're dipping back into creature features, and in my mind this is the spiritual successor to our arachnophobia video. But this one's a bit more special in my childhood this time around. We are talking about 2002's Eight-Legged Freaks.
Yeah.
Starring David Arquette, right off the back of Scream 3.
Yes. Yes.
This film is not a masterpiece by any means, but it is a self-proclaimed B movie.
Yeah.
It is a throwback to the atomic monster movie of the 40s and the 50s.
Yeah.
In fact, it references a lot of them throughout the film. Like on the TVs, you see Tarantula playing, you see them playing.
Yes.
And it's a very fun movie.
It is.
The basic plot. Actually, who directed this? What's his name? I always forget his name.
So the director's name is Ellery El-Kayem or El-Kayem. But the production team behind it, we've got some really, really big names. So Dean Devlin, Bruce Berman, and executive producer is Roland Emmerich. Obviously, the team responsible for big films like Independence Day, like Godzilla, the Matthew Broderick one. They did The Patriot. Like, these guys are big players in the big budget arena.
Yeah.
And here we have them making Eight-Legged Freaks.
Apparently, grammatically is not correct.
I
think that there needs to be a hyphen between, because the opposite is there 8-legged freaks or the freaks with 8 legs?
Freak with it, yeah, you need the little hyphen.
There needs to be a hyphen between 8 and legged. But originally this film was called A Rack Attack. And it is mentioned several times twice throughout the film.
With an A.
Because that is what a particular type of spider in this film does, an Iraq attack. But this was around the start of, the Iraq War.
And they just thought there was too much room for mispronunciation. So they erred on the side of caution.
They based it off a line that David Arquette ad-libbed.
Yes.
It was, "Get back, you eight-legged freaks."
You eight-legged freaks.
And I think that works better as titles. The basic premise of this film, because the plot is very simple.
It's very simple.
Is a town that is besieged by giant spiders that ingest toxic wastes because the corrupt mayor is storing it in the abandoned mines underneath this mall that he's just created.
Yeah.
Makes it into the water system. These crickets feed on it. This man who runs Spider, Frankenstein from the Monster Squad.
Yeah, Tom Noonan, I think, the actor.
He feeds these spiders, Spider Farm, great career. Don't know what the purpose of a spider farm is. Feeds these spiders, these crickets that have been ingesting toxic waste. The spiders grow to amazing size and just besiege the town. It's very simple.
It's actually very similar to Alligator, which is another film that we covered in our creature feature sub-genre. In the sense that the main creature, the main monster, gets bigger because of its prey, because of the food it ingests. Obviously, in Alligator, it was the result of experimentation.
Because of what we have put into the environment.
Yeah, exactly. It's a man-made problem.
Yeah, harkening back to the fear of nuclear radiation creating giant things because of a man-made thing.
Because of a man-made thing. Yeah, absolutely. Similarity in the sense that this is very much a subterranean kind of horror. The spiders make home in the mine shaft. Obviously in Alligator you've got it's dwelling in the sewers. And you've got the whole thing of corrupt officials as well. Yeah. Lots of shady shit going on in a small town.
The reason that the radio DJ, Harlan, at the time was probably one of the more outlandish ones. He has radio broadcast all about alien conspiracies, and he just cannot get behind the idea of giant spiders not being aliens.
He would 100% be a podcaster if this film was made today.
His character has aged so well that he is now probably the most relatable character in the films. The characters are very there's some interesting stuff done, but they're very much cardboard cutouts. We have a very young Scarlett Johansson in it as well.
Baby Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah. I have a very special relationship with this film. I grew up watching it. I specifically remember going to Morrison's for something and seeing it. For something. I don't remember what. I know I said very vivid memory, but not that vivid. Seeing it on DVD and just I need to get this film. I went all the way home, got my money, went all the way back. This film was a 12. I was 10. They asked me, how old are you? And I went, 10. I did not get
that was your little 10-year-old brain panicking. 12-year-old brain panicking.
Everyone's supposed to I've just turned 10. I was like, okay. I might have been 11, one of the two. So I went all the way home. Someone convinced my dad to come back to the shops with me. So I'm the third time in this shop now. I got the movie.
Yeah. It's this very same DVD, right?
It is the very same DVD, yeah.
David Arquette's face in that picture. I feel like if this was redone in Blu-ray DVD, that That would be it would be a different image right there.
It's one of those, it's on my list of, I usually watch it like once every year, maybe once every 2 years, because for all its flaws, this is a very, very rewatchable movie.
It is. It's schlocky.
It's not... Schlocky is the best way to describe it. Like,
a little bit campy. It's one of those films where really you're not meant to analyse it too much. It's a film about a little town that's overrun by gigantic spiders.
yeah.
And, like,
what's the name of the town again?
The town is called Prosperity.
Very similar to the town in Tremors,
which was called Perfection. This film is also set in Arizona. So Prosperity is a fictional town, but it's set in Arizona. And Tarantula, a film made in 1955, was also set in Arizona. So I guess like the desert
also
landscape
has a giant tarantula.
So the desert landscape, I think, kind of lends itself to these nuclear atomic films.
Outside, like, it's so easy to cut them off from the rest of the world. There's small scale enough that you keep the budget down, because if you have giant monsters destroying a city, it's going to start getting expensive. And these whole point of these movies were to create something cheap.
Yes.
Something cool, make it cheap. This is not a scary film.
No, it's not scary.
Unless you have arachnophobia.
In which case, probably just avoid this film at all costs.
Weirdly, because like, I'm not a massive fan of spiders. Giant spiders, I'm perfectly fine with, because they're not real.
They're very cumbersome, the big giant spiders.
Small spiders, something that can happen to me in real life, I am much more irked by. But there are moments in this movie where it just kind of makes you just go like,
I think
shiver.
It's because I'm the same. So I'm not really bothered by spiders. I think we talked a little bit about this when we were doing arachnophobia. They don't really bother me as such, but there were a lot of moments in this film where I outright shuddered and had to look away. I remember there's a particular scene where a guy, he's blowing in this tube in the mine, like he's trying to clear the airway.
Yeah.
And then you hear like this, and he clearly, like, he's accidentally sucked something into his mouth. And I think an egg sac hatches in his mouth, and all of these fucking big spiders, even though they're babies, just start hatching out of his mouth. And it's like, literally, it's a worst nightmare. Is there a worse fate than being eaten alive by a gigantic spider?
Well, especially like the Consuela, the big spider,
the queen,
liquefies their insides.
Yeah, she does.
To drink them. I'm going to talk about what I think really works in this. I think the spiders are the star. We have 2002 compositing, but the animation on them is really nice. There's some shots that do look really good, but it's only 21 years old. It's dated compositing. But it doesn't look bad.
It doesn't look bad. I also don't think it looks great.
Yeah. But when you look back at those like old monster movies, do any of them look great?
The thing is like, I think of Them, which was 1954, which is a fantastic film. And that one is ants, gigantic ants, and they made like a huge practical puppet. I don't know how many they made, like probably just like the head, but they probably did a full body one too. I'm not too sure. Doesn't look great, but it doesn't look awful. Yeah,
there's lots of scenes in this where they have like spider legs that can go through walls and stuff like that look really cool because they're real. They do
look cool. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, the thing is like you can forgive it because of the age gap. It's literally over 20 years old.
Yeah.
This film now, but there are still moments that do get to you.
The spiders all have different because there's different species of spiders.
Yeah.
But also there's a scaling thing. So when we first see the spiders, they're regular size. Mike, the lead kid character in this, finds like a spider leg later on that's about this big. David Arquette later on finds a leg that is about this big. Throughout the film, we're slowly introduced to bigger and bigger spiders in the skit, but also then the killings also scale along with it. We go from a cat. We'll go back to the cat later because I want to talk about some of my favourite scenes in this film. Not going to be a massive story-driven video, this one, I don't think.
No.
I think it's just a film you just need to check out. So we go from like a cat to a dog to an ostrich to a single person, another single person.
To a fucking town.
Besiege the town. The film scales the risk and it really... It works. It's just especially when the town starts getting besieged, it's like, you're fucked.
Yeah, there is a nice building of tension. I think the pacing of the film works.
There's also a level of threat.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
But yeah, what the different types of spiders that we have in it. So there is a tarantula called, I think it's called Tank. I think what they called him.
Right. So
a pink something spider tarantula, I think it was called. Like, I can't remember the exact breed of them.
We have the jumping spiders.
Obviously, they jump.
Pretty self-explanatory. We have the orb weavers, and Consuela, who is the big mama queen spider. She is an
big
orb weaver.
They weave people up.
We have the worst possible kind of spider, the trapdoor spider. I feel like that's
did not realize they were
horrifying.
They were a thing. They literally. This is where the Tremors comparison comes. They literally burrow and just like they go
snatch. Yeah, gone.
Down.
Like that is.
Can you imagine? That's it. No one has a nice fate in this. If you don't, you never at one point feel like these characters have an easy death.
The trapdoor spider is what gets the ostriches, unfortunately, which we will return to. We have the tiger wolf spider, which I'm not really sure how you define it, other than I guess it's probably a design feature. I can't remember their mode of attack though. And we also have the spitting spider.
Yeah.
Which we will return to.
We will return to. They described. I watched a video of them described as the hench debt collector spiders. Yeah. That's a spider that really beats someone to death.
Yeah, he literally but the sound effect of it fucking punching this guy.
The sound this film wouldn't work if it took itself any more seriously.
No, the comedy works
There's a nice mix
of
the horror and the comedy. Although from the deleted scenes, they definitely cut out a lot more of the overtly horror sections.
Yes.
Of people who have been drained by Consuela.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
And I think that was probably a smart decision, but they gave the spiders voices, which spiders don't have vocal cords. Spiders can't speak, but I think readers have. There's 3 voice actors credited, and I can't remember all the names, but I know one of them is from Futurama. Mm-hmm. He was Nibbler. And there's one scene in particular where one goes after the stuffed head of a moose, and you can see, that's Nibbler. And the other one's Frank Welker. Fred from Scooby. You mention him all the time because he's in everything.
Literally the most credited person in
I think
history,
he is actually.
Probably.
Doesn't he have the most? I think he is classed as the most profitable.
He could be
actor.
He could very well be. But yeah, they have they give them goofy sound effects. So it's when one of them is knocked on the head,
it goes down a zip line and it's
Yeah. I like the one where it's he's eating the head of the moose and he realises it's not a real animal. It's like.
It just again it adds to the goofiness of the situation. Yeah. But if it played it straight, I just don't think it would. I don't think it would be as rewatchable. That's things that you're not watching a great movie.
Yeah.
But you are watching a very fun movie.
Yeah, you want to see how it's going to end.
So I don't think it didn't do too well, did it?
Well,
even Roger Ebert did like it, didn't he?
Roger Ebert did actually like this, and this is I know we bring this guy up quite a lot because he's such a conundrum. Sometimes he hates the genre, and then sometimes he surprises me pleasantly. So the budget of this movie was 30 million, and it grossed 45 million. So it was in profit, but barely.
Yeah, the thing is when you look at the sheer amount of spiders they have, because I know they actually said weirdly they did their post-production mostly before the film, not necessarily pre-production, but a lot of their post-production, the animating of the spiders.
Yeah.
Because there was so many and they all move in such unique ways.
Yeah.
For the budget, the sheer amount of spiders they have on screen is actually really impressive. I've got to tip my hat to it.
It is very, very impressive. And
I think they might cut the budget with script and characters.
Well, also just to kind of bear in mind as well, again, all the different species of spiders that we have, it's not just the VFX guys and the team are making one particular spider over and over again. It's there's design differences and they move differently. So from
all
that
different
point
spiders
of view,
have slightly different decorations to help them stand out.
Yeah, exactly. All different modes of kills and modes of attack.
A lot of work has gone into this.
Absolutely. Back to Roger Ebert, one of the key things he said was he compared this film a lot to Arachnophobia, which was, I don't know, probably the last in that time scale, the most recent film that you could compare it to, a film about spiders over besieging a small town. And he said that what worked in Eight-Legged Freaks that didn't necessarily work for him in Arachnophobia was the sheer size of the spiders. In Arachnophobia, we don't have big puppetry, we don't have huge animatronics. The biggest spider we have, the general, is yay big. And obviously they use real spiders for the scenes where it takes over the house. But for some Ebert said that just it wasn't effective. It doesn't work. You don't get a genuine sense of terror. Whereas in Eight-Legged Freaks, they are just the right size to give you the real kind of heebie-jeebies. And I do think that's true. It's when the spiders, when we get to the mall, the big climax at the end, and you see the tarantulas pouncing on people, They are the size that they could just easily take down a human being, like encompass.
A lot of these spiders are eye level with you, which makes it a very intimate kill.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, Mike, little kid, obsessed with spiders, which is weird. Weird hobby.
Well, also
his mum is the sheriff. Scarlett Johansson's his sister. He's trying to convince them that these spiders are giant.
Yeah.
No one starts to believe them until they actually start physically seeing it happen.
I also just think, like, on that point, so we begin the film with Mike. Kind of after the toxic waste has been accidentally dumped into the little lake or pond. Mike is basically like a 2002 Marty McFly, but albeit a younger version, going to see his friend, this much older man, this recluse in the town who, you know, in this instance is running a spider farm. And I guess we're just meant to sort of, you know, like, don't ask questions. They're friends.
I can see why his mum, the sheriff,
she does express concern.
Want it. She said she doesn't want him going out there. I get it. I get it.
As an adult, it's a bit dodgy. But you know, there's a total innocence to it. I think because also Joshua, the spider farmer, is also something of an outcast himself. Like, he's not.
He runs a fucking spider farm. Of course, he's an outcast.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. Oh, he's got his fucking fingernails as well. Like, I don't know why they felt the need to make them really long and dirty, but that freaked me out. But yeah, anyway, there was something very kind of Back to the Future-esque there. It's a relationship I honestly don't know if you do now in a film, like, have a child so friendly with an adult man. David
Arquette plays also kind of like an outcast. He's the son of the guy who owned the mines underneath the town, who has passed away, and he's come back to try and get them reopen because there might be gold there. They're full of harmful gas. There's a bit of obviously he has a previous relationship with the sheriff. None of it matters. I'm just gonna say it's fun. No. It can be fun, but the star is the spiders.
The star is of course it is. It's a film called Eight-Legged Freaks. You know, it's like we're in it. We are in it for the spiders. But yeah, I was gonna call him Dewey there.
He's Dewey.
But yeah, David Arquette. He's a really likable guy. He's always been in love with the sheriff Sam. And she's kind of a cool character as well. She's kind of like this no-nonsense character. She's looking after
I've only just found out she was an anaconda. I did not recognise her, which is one of the greatest monster movies ever made.
That's a video for another day.
Oh,
Anaconda.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Maybe this summer.
I've recently found it on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I'm getting it.
Okay.
But this film was a Blu-ray. I had no idea this film was out on Blu-ray. Why is this film out on Blu-ray?
We'll get it. We'll add it to the collection. And yeah, so we've got the sheriff, teenage daughter Scarlett Johansson, who's dating this guy called Brett, who's like portrayed as, you know, this like teenage douchey character who's very, very horny and putting a lot of pressure on Scarlett Johansson for her to sleep with him, and that's like a side sort of subplot. We also have the mayor, who's called Wade, who's a really, I don't know the name of the actor, but he's a very famous character actor. It's like, if you see his face,
he's most known for Deadwood.
He's in Deadwood, but he also works with the production team a lot because he was in The Patriot too, and I think that was where I recognised him from. So he works with Devlin and Emmerich quite a lot, or at least he did. So one of my favourite characters, probably my favourite character of the whole film actually, is Deputy Pete.
Alright, Pete, out of everybody in this film, deserved to live.
Yeah, and I'm so happy he did. That's a spoiler, but he lives.
Like, he's the one that's dragging the barrel out, you know, just with rubber gloves on, drags that toxic waste barrel out of the lake. His cat is murdered by spiders. We're going to go through some key scenes here that are just great. Like, the cat, he's redecorating. Clearly some stress in his marriage because he clearly was supposed to have done this a long time ago. Cat gets into the drywall and starts fighting a spider. This is where the voice acting for the spiders really works. It's basically a kung fu fight that we don't see between the spider and the cat.
Cat v
All
spider.
we see is the cat being thrown into the drywall, the spider being thrown into the drywall, and it is so... You can see it's traumatic for them, but for us it's fucking hilarious.
That cat puts up a hell of a fucking fight against
that spider.
The
body goes up against the wall after making the kung fu nails. So that cat threw the spider.
Yeah, you can literally hear like the punches and then the it's like full on fight, and it just you can see they're climbing higher and higher up the wall as well.
What do you think the spider kills the cat, or does the cat just get electrocuted?
I think they go out together. I'm not sure.
You think they both die?
I think they both go out together and
the next time we hear it's because his wife then leaves him after that.
Oh yeah, there's a really sweet scene where he's calling Sam.
But he says Sam. So Sam says what? Something ate your cat. So that to me means that they've went in, they've got the cat.
Yeah.
But the spider mustn't have been there.
Oh.
So I think to be honest, I think the cat got electrocuted. That's what finally finished the cat off.
Maybe. Yeah, you got a good point there. They would have
But
found the
that
body
cat
otherwise.
put up such a good fight.
It really, really does. Probably a better fight than any human in the whole film,
Apart from
to be
Pete.
honest. Apart from...
So throughout the film, like, he's the one who, like, he goes to get the girl and he helps fight off. But as soon as he gets to the mall, he is just great. Like, he's like... But he's constantly just getting away on the skin of his teeth.
He's kind of left on his own because all the other people, they run off to the mines. He's not able to get to the door in time, and he's kind of left.
He tells them just to go.
To go. So he's a one-man band facing off against this tsunami of spiders.
He runs out, but he picks up a chainsaw and he's kind of... Do you see, like, he just turns to see all, again, just like, great work, just all these spiders coming towards it. He just runs. But he still put up a fight, like, goes into a store, pulls the shutters down, they grab him, chainsaw.
Oh, that's one of my favourite scenes. He just chainsaws through the legs.
He's also so, like, him and Harlan together.
Yeah.
I'm glad both of them survive. And
I am too. But I also love the ostrich scene. Like, that is... When we rewatch this, because I hadn't seen this film in a long, long time, but certain scenes did stand out. And I've always remembered the ostriches. You just see them one by one being pulled down.
Because Wade is there and he's just like,
what the fuck is going on? Obviously, it's the trapdoor spider. I honestly just can't imagine
we get introduced.
A worse death.
So I think it's, the tiger...
Tiger wolf spider.
I feel like the tiger wolf... Yeah, the tiger wolf is the big burly one, so we see them beat people to death. The orb weavers, we see them in the barber shop and literally wrap someone on the roof, which is... You don't see when they come up from behind someone who's deaf. That is pretty terrifying.
That's horrible.
Then see someone webbed up on the roof.
Doesn't stand a
It's this kind of film when you can't see him trying to work out what spider's doing what.
Yeah.
It's based on the kills, which I think is really fun.
Well, that's what I like. They all kill in different ways according to the species.
Yeah. But like all different species, they just they will just follow Consuela, I think, because she's the scariest. But I don't think she's not necessarily bigger than Tank.
I don't know.
But Tank just kind of falls in line anyway.
Yeah. We also have the famous scene with Scarlett Johansson.
It's one of the scenes you watch as a kid. You know there's something weird about it. Right. So she has just got out of the shower.
Yes. She's got a towel wrapped around her. She's in her bedroom.
Crawls in through the window, which is pretty terrifying in itself. She turns around. It pins her against the wall. It's the spitter. She screams. She's face to face with this spider. And it just starts spitting web in her face. And it's like, there's death. Like, it's shooting white stuff all over a very young Scarlett Johansson.
You can interpret this scene in many different ways. I don't think we need to go into detail as to what that scene might represent. We all know.
All we know is that David Arquette gets involved and it basically becomes a bit of a threesome.
Until Mum comes on the scene and just gun blasts the thing away.
Yeah, she's not a fan of Scarlett's new boyfriend in this instance.
No.
The spider.
No. I will say, again, bearing in mind I haven't seen this film in a long time, Scarlett Johansson being pinned against the wall and the
spider jizz.
The spider... Yeah, what even is it? It's like a silky fluid. It's like web fluid.
Well, that's what the spitter does. It shoots it's slightly toxic web that congeals upon touch. It's meant to paralyze.
Paralyze, and it just starts spitting this, and she's just pinned against the wall. I've always remembered that scene, and I think because when I was younger, I was like, "That's absolutely horrifying." And probably as a young girl watching it, Scarlett Johansson was the most relatable character to me at that time. I was like, "Oh my god, like that's me in that scenario. That's awful." But there was probably another part of my brain that was like, a bit dodgy.
Yeah,
that could have happened to any other character.
It is a terrifying
but
scene.
it happened to Scarlett Johansson, half naked in a towel.
Arachnophobia when one's coming down the shower.
Oh yeah.
And it's a shower scenes are always, it kind of goes back to Psychos. You're vulnerable when you are naked. You are vulnerable.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's why it's like quite often like when people go to the bathroom in films, you often feel like you don't want them to die there because you're literally caught with your pants down. She's caught in a towel. She can't do anything.
She's literally stuck. Like she can't.
By the time she realizes what's going on, it's too late. If she was on her own, she'd be dead.
You barely have time to even register what you're seeing is real. Like, oh my god, there's a gigantic spider that's just crawled its way in through my bedroom window.
It's been her boyfriend. Yeah, I feel like it's interesting because when we first introduced to him, it's more of his mates that are more douchey than him. But then he does obviously try to Copperfield. I'd like to think that he wouldn't force himself.
Yeah, I think it's not that kind of film. I think where it would. No,
she zaps him with a stun. Like I think in that moment, what's weird against, it feels the way it's been written because her mum gives her a stun gun.
Yeah.
And it hurt, but in the moment, and warns him about guys like Brett because you kind of get the idea that's what her Scarlett Johansson's character's dad was like.
Is like, yeah.
Brett is shown to have like a bad boy persona, but it's probably a bit soft inside. Basically, like David Arquette's character as well.
Yeah, well, his dad is the mayor, isn't he? Or is like his stepdad?
His stepdad is
the mayor.
So to have that type of scene is a bit weird, but she seems more annoyed by the fact that her mum was right rather than the fact that he just tried to force himself on it.
Well, no,
it's weirdly written, I think.
I think, yeah, it's like she's like, oh my god, my mum was right. Do you know how embarrassing that is?
Yeah, it's like, that is not the...
I think there's an element that maybe it's meant to, maybe for the audience's benefit, that line is there to say, like, look, she was never in any real danger here. She was always, gonna get out of this okay. So I think it could have been more for the audience than anything.
She zaps him in the balls.
Also, she aims.
Himself.
Yeah, it's like she just pissed my pants.
But then it leads to, again, the set pieces. Because we have different spiders that do different things, every big set piece is a bit different.
Yeah.
Before all of them come together as a big spider army, we have little individual things. As soon as he drives off, spiders coming over the edge, which I think, is that from Ants or Tarantula or something like that?
Probably, yeah. I think there's a scene similar in all of them.
Yeah.
Even in them.
And then these are the jumpers. So him and his mates are on their dirt bikes.
Whoa.
Early 2000s, rock music playing, they're jumping on their bikes, but the spiders are chasing them and jumping and grabbing them mid-air.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's really cool.
Yeah, there are a few like jump scares as well, because they're all... Brett comes onto the scene, and obviously he's panicking, and he's also pissed his pants. So they start laughing at him, about that. And then
you piss your pants?
Dude. And then as they're laughing, a fucking jumper just comes and takes one out. And you see the guy, like, on the floor, and the spider's just over him, like, biting him and whatever else. And then that's when the panic ensues. But it kind of just comes from nowhere. It's an effective jump scare.
It is. That whole sequence, I really like. Brett does kind of kill somebody.
Yes.
By leading them in front of a big truck.
Yes.
But that whole sequence, and I do think they kind of redeem his character.
I think so. I think the fact that
but it is weird that they rekindle their romance at the end. But he out of all of them, because he's being chased all day and deep into the night in the mines, he with pissy pants.
With pissy pants.
I feel like by the end he's earned the right to survive.
I think
because of how long he's been being chased by these spiders for.
I think because there are just so many characters in this movie, and yet ostensibly David Arquette is the main character, but we have so many other characters.
What's fun when we get to the mall when suddenly there's like a lot of we've seen these guys, and suddenly there's a character who becomes a bit of a main character only to disappear again. It's kind of, were there meant to be more scenes introducing more of the townsfolk? Maybe because it's kind of like they kind of forget who the main characters are for a little bit.
That's why I think like the romantic, like the teen romantic subplot, it's like, okay, it's there, but we don't really need to elaborate on it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not the main crux of the story by any means.
Yeah.
But you also get like that, that old, I see a pharmacist, like the old guy, who I feel like his career started when he was already like ancient. Yeah, he's a barber. And he's the one whose mate is deaf, and the tarantula appears like behind the chair, like the one I'm sitting in right now, and the legs just come over and engulf him. But he like becomes something of like a bit of a side character as well in the end.
The guy we see him at the town meeting. We don't know what his name is. We see him at a diner when spiders start attacking. He becomes a bit of a main character in the mall.
Yeah.
You get to crossbow, disappears for a little bit, suddenly pops back up again, and it's like you suddenly start having a lot to do, but you don't even have a name.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre.
I think we know from watching some of the deleted scenes, quite a fair few were cut.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of Mike's stuff was cut, but I think it's just, I don't think he's that good. And he's trying his best.
I don't think he's bad.
I think a lot of the dialogue he's trying to put out was quite difficult.
I mean, there's a deleted scene between him and David Arquette in a car when he's
which actually
driving
actually pretty good.
And I also like the scene with Mike as well, where he's with his mum investigating the ostrich's disappearance, and Mike discovers the trapdoor, and he's trying to get his mum's attention, and that scene was cut, but I thought that was a pretty good...
I feel like it's all a pacing thing, because I do think the film moves on like at a nice quick pace.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so. And then by the time we get into the mine at the end, things move pretty quick.
That's it, we're not even at the final. I love the whole besiegement of the mall.
Yeah.
I've seen it criticised that people say, they get all ready to fight, and then as soon as spiders come in, they all just kind of leg it. It's like, you would. You would.
You fucking would.
You
it's
absolutely
like,
would.
Doesn't matter how much you arm yourself with, I think the flight instinct will absolutely kick in, But I still like it.
Everything that's kind of like laying the groundwork, like the bike, we need the guns, the methane gas, it all does kind of come together by the end.
Yeah. What do people call it? Chekhov's gun. Like
Chekhov's gun.
Yeah. It's like laid the groundwork for these details are going to be important later.
No,
on.
a Chekhov's gun is when you're led for something to be important, but then isn't.
Oh, then isn't.
Yeah.
Oh, then it's not a Chekhov's gun. The mine is very important.
The mine Dr. Wiz and the methane gas is very important.
Yeah.
It's a schlocky monster movie that I am going to watch again. I probably will. If I can find the Scream Factory Blu-ray, which I've only just found out exists, I will get it.
I do love that one scene as well. I just remembered so when David Arquette's character, I think he's called Chris.
It's Chris McCormick.
Chris McCormick. He goes to save his Aunt Gladys, and I think is it Consuela in this moment, and she kind of lays up at him, and David, like in any other situation, David Arquette and Gladys are an absolute goner at this moment, and he cowers and he's cowering away, and he just gets out this little perfume bottle and sprays it in her face, and Consuela gets she just freaks the fuck out because they have a very high sense of smell. Spiders, which I was not aware of.
I always find it really funny because at the end of the film, was there anyone else alive? No, my Aunt Gladys is the only one I found out.
She was the only one that checked.
You did not check a single other apart from the one you opened up and it was like a rotted corpse.
Yeah, everyone, probably loads of people were alive. There were probably children in there. David Arquette didn't give a shit. It is a fun movie. Another YouTuber made a point that if this film was released today, it would probably just be straight to streaming. It probably wouldn't have a major cinema release.
Probably. It could have been a sleeper hit. I've seen it also compared to like Snakes on a Plane.
On a Plane, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
obviously was a big hit.
When you think of the most sort of recent creature features that we've had, none of them really have comedy in them.
We're very much in a resurgence of like kaiju films, like Godzilla, big monster movies.
Crawl.
Which
I still haven't seen.
Great. This type of movie just isn't really made.
It's not.
We're much more cynical now, and this was still early 2000s. It was still like because even you're looking at the score by
there's a goofiness to the film.
Ottman, what's this? John Ottman.
Oh, John Ottman, who is the composer. He's a wonderful composer. I love him.
The music is very light and upbeat, but he puts hints of Itsy Bitsy Spider in there when big spider sequences are going on.
Yes,
and the version of that song that plays in the credits is really cool. So it's very it's uplifting. It helps when the scenes are especially difficult. It helps just uplift you.
Absolutely. There is another cool sequence with Pete, and he's in the police car, and he's got the kids in the back, and Harlan and Sheriff Sam and David Arquette are in Harlan's trailer trying to use the radio to just like tell everyone that there's an invasion of spiders.
That's what he's like. Space aliens, we believe, but this you have a hard time with.
You have a hard time with. And Pete, he's just like he's in the police cruiser, whatever it is, and you just see in the window. Just crawling along. Well, that's when you get
giant tarantula. But it's what I love in that one because it had been in little bits of the film, but this like it switched to like the horns goes dun 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 because it's a giant tarantula.
It's fucking huge, but I love how slowly it moves.
Slowly it has to move, and that is honestly one of the best looking shots. Like
it is actually.
It's incredible.
You could mistake it for it being practical. I thought it looked really good.
That was really really good.
The level of hair, like against the dark.
It's very backlit as well. It's like
it looked nice.
It did. It looked really really nice.
That's major Aragog vibes, right?
But also it's going back to Harlan and the conspiracy theories again. Aged very well. I was found amazing that like I said, you can't believe the spiders are made on Earth, and maybe it's one of those things because people in the mall instantly start taking up on that thing as well. It's like they're aliens, or this can't be from Earth. It's like its inability to accept that these things come from Earth, but they are also due to man-made reasons why they're here.
Yeah,
it's humans' fault is why this came here.
Greed.
Space aliens, something coming to Earth to attack us is easier to believe than we did this to ourselves.
Yeah, easier to believe than an invasion of toxic waste spiders.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And I do think it's one of those parts of the film that has aged better than I thought it would. Because I remember him annoying me as a kid, but I actually do really like his character now.
Yeah, I like the actor that plays him too. I don't have his name, I don't think, but I enjoyed the performance.
Yeah.
And yeah, he would, if this film was made today, for a fact he would be a podcaster.
Yeah, I also think he'd have a bigger part.
Yes. Maybe like more of a following as well.
Yeah.
Like, they probably make more of that. Because he is kind of... There are moments throughout the film where, you know, we hear people listening to him.
Actively listening to him. I get the feeling he's the only radio show in town.
Yeah, probably. This tiny, dinky little town.
I find it amusing. He's like, oh, I've set myself up here in the middle of nowhere, you know, so no one knows where I am. It's like, mate, you're literally broadcasting. Because the bit where him and David Arquette have to climb on top of a radio mast that's on top of the mall, because he's like, oh, that's how I get my signal out over the mountain.
Yeah.
So you are telling people where you are. You don't want to be found by the government, but you are actively broadcasting. It's like everyone who's like, technology is bad for you, the microchip, they're following us everywhere. Sent from iPhone.
Yeah.
It was just that also, 21 years ago.
Also, it's very, very American, I think, that a big climactic showdown happens at the mall. You know?
I do think that's a throwback to Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead, absolutely. I mean, you know, lower budget territory, but shopping mall.
Consumerism is a big part of this film as well.
Stranger Things season 3, I think. It's like the mall at the end there. And like, obviously just having the mall is a huge part of the plot. Even in this movie, like having a big mall taking business away from the little local independent guys is a big controversy. Yeah. So yeah, just the mall is such like an American thing.
It's weird, like a little bit of Shaun of the Dead, which obviously came after this.
Yeah, 2 years.
But it's like, the reason they go to the pub is like, you know, big solid doors.
Pub?
The reason they go to the mall is say like steel doors, concrete walls. They see it's like, this is a big safe building.
It's got big heavy doors and things.
Yeah.
That's their logic. Kind of worked.
It is. I think in a lot of movies we've shown that malls are actually pretty good places to hold out, but the problem is they're such a big area to try and control.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And the spiders, they do get in there pretty quickly.
They do. Yeah, they do. It's an army of spiders.
That's what spiders like. Spiders can just get places. I think this film does pop up on Netflix every now and then. I think that's why I've watched it a lot more than I probably should, because I don't always just throw the DVD in.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know if I ever owned this on DVD, but I feel like it must have been on TV a fair bit when I was little, because I did watch it a lot.
Weirdly, it's a film, because I know I still have a lot of films that are at my parents' house, so sometimes if I know we're going to do a video on it and I'm visiting, I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, everywhere I've moved to, this film has kind of followed me.
Yeah.
I've never had to go back and get it because I cannot remember unpacking this film. But when I decided I wanted to do a video on it, it was on the shelf.
It was just there.
Why are you on the shelf?
How did you get it?
I don't remember packing it. I don't even remember moving with me, but it always just ends up being there.
Yeah.
Weird. So it's just a permanent fixture in my life, this film.
So, I mean, between the two spider movies that we've done, this and Arachnophobia, which one technically the better film?
They're just different films, though.
What's the better spider movie? Or, okay, what's your favourite? What's your favourite?
It's this one.
You got to say it like it freaks.
I've got the nostalgia as well, which really helps. Yeah. Also, I like Arachnophobia as a film. It's a really good film, but if I'm going to put something on and just enjoy myself and just have a good time, I'm going to put it like a freaks on.
See, I'm the other way. Like, I have nostalgia for this. I did grow up watching it a lot, but if I had the choice which one to put on, Arachnophobia will always win out every time.
It's a bit more serious though, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's got comedy in it. Also, just at the time of recording this, Arachnophobia, one of my favourite actors, Julian Sands, is in that, who sadly is missing at the minute. So this might be coming out in... It's currently February. Yes. This might be coming out in April. Yes, so
so
the story might have an ending by then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Arachnophobia. It is a bit more serious, but obviously there is comedy running through it. But both spider films we've done now, very strong.
Very, very strong. So I can't think of any other spider films I want to do, to be honest.
Maybe we're due for another one to be released.
Well, Arachnophobia is getting a remake.
It is getting a remake, but I mean, like
this film will never get a remake.
No,
absolutely not. But I miss the atomic era giant monsters.
Yeah.
Not just kaiju's, not just like Godzilla type things. I want where's the giant beetles?
The gigantic beetles, the massive gecko.
Yeah. Some bits actually really remind me of Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Yeah, just some of the sequences, the way they bleed, the colourful blood.
Spiders are always portrayed having oozing green blood.
I think that's maybe the toxic waste.
I think it is. It's an easy way to
Obviously,
explain
the spiders also portrayed having vocal cords.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yes.
It's really fun. If you can try, if you've got a fear of spiders, it might not be for you. But if you like just silly, schlocky fun. You're gonna have a really good time with this film.
Yeah,
and you'll
for
probably
sure.
feel quite nostalgic, especially when anyone pulls out like a phone.
That's the thing. It's like part of the joy of watching these films. It's like it's an added value that only increases over time. Like the further away we get from the release date, the more you notice. Just it is literally a time capsule. It's like it's the closest thing to a time machine we'll have.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to go back and revisit 2002, this is a great film to watch.
Absolutely. Because I definitely feel like, because there's certain scenes, but Mike has like a little like recorder thing that he uses like to record voice and video. No idea what it is, but it was clearly very high tech at the time. But a lot of the deleted scenes were to do with that thing, and I wonder, was it meant to be a sponsored thing that didn't go through, and that's why those scenes were cut?
Maybe.
That's what, like when we watched them all, I was like, that's like 3 scenes.
Yeah.
Very, because when he finds the trap door, he's recording it on this thing. And talking into it.
Yeah.
So
a little bit of product placement.
Yeah, so that would make most sense to me if it was initially supposed to be a sponsored thing, but it was in too many scenes taken out entirely.
Could have been.
Because there's a scene taken out where he receives it as a birthday. He's like, oh my god, it does this, it even records video, describing what, it's like, this is a product placement.
Oh god, yeah, it's just like, oh, see. Oh yeah, he's like, I told you Dad wouldn't forget my birthday.
Yeah. There's no reference to the kids don't even reference the dad at any other point in the film. I've always wanted to try an ostrich burger since watching this film.
That's how we're ending this video.
Yeah. I just forgot, the whole reason they have ostriches is to make ostrich burgers.
David wants an ostrich burger.
What does ostrich taste like?
I think I've tried ostrich once.
I think
many moons ago in my
sister lives in Australia and I feel like she has.
Yeah. I think I remember it being tasty, but I couldn't tell you exactly. It tasted like ostrich, I guess.
Yeah. But what does ostrich taste like? That's what I want to know.
Well.
So, that's why I'm ending it. I really want to try an ostrich burger.
That was Eight-Legged Freaks.
That was Eight-Legged Freaks.
Back in 2002.
Without the hyphen.
Without the hyphen. The grammatically incorrect Eight-Legged Freaks.
Yeah. The DVD, the only review they could put on it was a Daily Star one. People in the UK know that is.
But it's a favourable review.
It's a favourable review.
Yeah. I just love that picture of David Arquette. He doesn't even look scared.
No.
He looks like he's on a roller coaster or something.
Right. Thanks for stopping by, guys.
Bye.
This is a very fun film. And yeah, we will see you next week.